Now, when we did the advisory board meeting last year, one of the things that the advisory board came back and told us is that investors are having a hard time making decisions in the Middle East because they don't have access to quality data. So I'm very pleased to say that Ali Sinaei has stepped up to the call, and he and his team have put together a presentation now based around data from the Middle East markets, and specifically from the point of view and the perspective of what investors would want to know. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Ali from Round Menu.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks a lot. Can I just ask, is this mic working? Can everyone hear me? Yep, great. Great, thank you. So as Jen said, one of the things that we've been asked to do today is to basically look at all the data that we mine as a business and to kind of talk about how that data could potentially be used in terms of decision making when looking at whether to invest in the F&B space or what to invest in, what vertical, and then how to best, I guess, strategize that investment. So just to explain, Round Menu and what we do. So we're a restaurant discovery medium. We operate via app and website, and we host about 1 million visits a month mostly from the Middle East, but for the Middle East. So we basically guide diners on their dining options in GCC, Levant, and most of North Africa. So the data source, sorry, this is working independently of my, okay, great. So the data source is taken from diner activity between February last year and February this year, so we're looking at a 12-month period. We're only looking at 400,000 of those visitors, the monthly 400,000 of those visitors, because that's the ones that are focused on UAE dining. So we're looking at UAE today. I'm not sharing any of the data with North Africa, Saudi, etc., because I'm not sure of the relevance of that. And the platforms we've taken the data from are mainly app, because that's where the majority of our usage is, but also mobile, web, and website. And language split, by the way, is about 50-50, English and Arabic. So Arabic features prominently in the kind of discovery and guidance that diners need in the region in terms of where should I eat. So the 3 things that we'll focus on, I'm not sure how clear this slide is to everyone, but if you could just see 1, 2, and 3. So we've got discover, dine out, and delivery. So discovery is basically the question, what shall I eat? Help me. So it's people who need that kind of guidance. What are the dining options available to them, whether that's eating out or for delivery. And then specifically dine out and delivery, if the diner goes through those 2 channels, they're already focused more obviously on what it is that they want. And the main purpose there is to drive what we call a transaction. So either an online reservation, or a telephone call, if it's for a reservation, if that's a dining out restaurant, or either a telephone call or an online order, if it's for a delivery focused restaurant. So this is the 3, the data points are taken from these 3 sources. So we're going to start by looking at discovery. So discovery, again, just to be clear, the question that's being asked here is, please inspire me, please guide me, I want to know what my eating options are. So the first thing we're going to look at over here is content consumption. So when people come to portals like Round Menu, and remember, so Round Menu kind of does a similar thing, I guess, that something like the Michelin Guide does, but from a completely different spectrum. So in our case, rather than diners coming and asking an expert, a Michelin guide as such, I don't know if they're called Michelin Guides, but the people who go and give the stars, they're doing the opposite. They're asking their peers. So they're asking those 1 million people every month who go to the restaurants. They're saying, what was this experience like? Help me, tell me if this was a good experience. So in terms of content consumption, sorry guys, this has a brain of its own today. I was going to test you on the following slide, but everyone's seeing the answers now, so I can't do that anymore. So content consumption. So the main thing that people come and do is search. That's this search or guidance. So people are basically looking through pages and pages of search results of restaurants, right? So that's their starting point. They feed us some information, like these are the areas, these are the cuisines I want, but then they want to see what their options are. So this kind of browsing and guidance, it's very important for restaurants, obviously, to be included in that. But then, if you look at the second, I guess, section of that pie chart. In terms of consumption, food photography. So I think, Michael mentioned it before. It's been mentioned in pretty much all the presentations today, actually. Food photos are the second most consumed thing on platforms like ourselves. This basically means diners want to get inspired. They want to see, what does the food look like? Does it look tasty? Does it inspire me? And our photos, we have about 3 million photos all taken from social media. So this is real photos from real diners uploaded to platforms like ourselves or to our partner platforms like TripAdvisor, Facebook, Foursquare, etc. Instagram, obviously, is a big provider of photos for us. So, the concept of consumption of photos is really, really powerful. And then after that, the main other sections are reviews and menus. So, we make sure that we constantly keep clean menus for all of our 19,000 restaurants that we have on our platform, because we see that that's what diners want to see. They want to see, what are my food options when I go to the restaurant? What do they look like? What do people say about them? And how much do they cost? So this is basically where they're getting that data from. And other, I won't go into what other is. It's just basically registration pages, home pages, etc. So those are really the main content areas. So you got a sneak preview. Did everyone see the next slide? Did anyone see what the top search term in the UAE was? Anyone want to guess it? So the single most searched word, food related, in the UAE on our platform from 1 million users last month, 400,000 users. No? Oh, come on, you saw that. Is that a guess or you saw that? Yep, that's right. That's right, top search term, and this is obviously the hottest menu item over the last 12 months in the UAE. But this is basically top search term is burger, followed actually very closely by pizza. So these two categories are driving the most amounts of searches, and therefore, obviously, business, because that follows naturally. Following that, the next three searches, actually interestingly, are not by cuisine or by dishes. The next three searches are by location. So people are basically telling us, look, either we know we want a burger or a pizza, or we don't mind necessarily what we eat, but keep us in Dubai Marina, downtown, or Sheikh Zayed Road, because these are the areas that people are typing into the search. So there's a difference between typing and the next bit of data that I'm going to show you on the next screen, which is, this is now guided searches by cuisine. This is now people who are not typing their search in, they're people who are following our guided structures. So now, what's the mentality here? The mentality of these people is, I'm not so sure. Okay, I'll tell you a few of the cuisines I'm interested in. Show me what my options are. So now people who are in this category, the top category in terms of interest is what we deem as international. Now, international is a bit of a cheat because it's restaurants that offer multiple cuisines. So there's a lot of those. So if you look beyond that, the single biggest category is Arabic. I don't know if that's surprising to anyone, or, it was actually fairly surprising to me, even though we live in the Arab world. I would have guessed before looking at this data that it would have been Indian, but actually Arabic pips Indian slightly. Then it's followed by Indian, Thai, and the others. So some interesting ones in there, which I don't know if anyone would have expected to be in there. But one of the things that we found, Brazilian cuisine is really popular. British, which it's interesting. And I think a lot was spoken about British cuisine and chefs like Heston Blumenthal and so on. But obviously, this kind of PR and branding that British cuisine is getting is reflecting back onto people's desire to search for that and see, well, what are my options to try this kind of cuisine. So next we'll look at most search for locations. Again, now this is in terms of guidance, not keyword searches. So this is a very interesting one to me. So remember, this is people wanting to go out to eat in these areas. This is not for delivery. This is search for locations for people to go to eat for these areas. So the single top one that we have, and again, this was very surprising to me when I looked at this data, Dubai Media City and Internet City. Now, and again, if you look through some of these things over here, Sheikh Zayed Road is high on that list over there. We've got JLT, we've got DIFC high on these lists. So these are basically people who are looking at, this is not necessarily residential areas. This is people who are looking at places to eat around them when they're at work. The residentials, it's not surprising, I imagine, or the kind of desirable areas to eat in, like downtown. So this is an interesting list of the most searched for locations. So if I was to open a restaurant tomorrow, I probably wouldn't ignore this data. I would say, well, this is obviously the key locations that people are looking to go and eat in. 1 through to 10 goes top left to bottom right, by the way. So interestingly, DIFC, which some people might have put in the top 3 or 4, is actually only 10th on our list. This is an interesting one. Searches by time of day. So a couple of people have mentioned social media. So I'm gonna say something. We did an interesting experiment actually on this, because this kind of data we kind of measure on a daily basis anyway, so we're very well aware of this. So searches peak twice a day. They peak once between 11 and 3 o'clock. Obviously, that's the lunchtime peak. And they peak again just before, so we say about 7 o'clock is the peak. So is that right? Yeah. So about 7 to midnight is the next peak, with like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock being the massive peak. 90%, well, we did a little study of about 100 different restaurants. 90% of restaurants do the majority of their social media posting at what time? They do it 10 o'clock in the morning, and they do it at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which basically means when I'm in the mood or when I'm looking as a diner to eat, they're not speaking to me. They're speaking to me at the wrong times. So all the money that's being spent to hire social media people, to spend money on platforms like Facebook and Twitter and so on, a lot of that's being wasted because you're talking to me at the times when Facebook is telling you I'm on Facebook. Great, I'm on Facebook, but actually at this point, I'm on Facebook to check out my friends' photos and read stupid articles about cats. This is not the point at which I'm looking to eat. So a lot of the timing with social media conversations is very important. And we, again, looked at an interesting correlation. We then did our own social media posts, and we only did them at these peak times. And well, it really depends on the day as well. So we average the morning peak out at between about 11 to 12. But it kind of depends on the type of restaurants. So if it's like some people are looking for manaish and these kind of breakfasty foods, they'll be a little bit earlier. Things like one of our top searches for lunch is actually sushi. That will be closer to 12:30 or 1. But yeah, it averages at about 11 o'clock. So again, the main point I would say on this slide before I move off it is, it's very important to time conversations with when the thoughts are happening in the diner's head. There's no timer here, by the way, so you need to give me a good. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So that was general discovery. Now dining out, I'm going to just focus a little bit on what we call the transaction for dining out. So I'm going to look at where are people booking online, so reserving a table through our online systems. Why are they doing it? Where are people calling and why are they doing it? And then we'll talk a little bit about the average spends that we're seeing in the industry as well. So this is interesting. I don't know if this will surprise people or if it'll be absolutely common knowledge to everyone. These are the 10 restaurants that we saw the most reservations monthly average at in the last 12 months. So number 1, and I think Manoli is in the audience, so he'll be quite happy to see that. There he is. So number 1 is Fogueira, which is in the Ramada Plaza. So Fogueira, for whoever hasn't been, is an amazing concept. It's I never get this word right. Is it a churrascaria? Churrascaria, a Brazilian churrascaria. And basically the concept behind Fogueira is that they do a wonderful 15 course. 15 cuts of meat. Basically they just feed you meat until you can't eat meat anymore, and you turn the red light over, don't feed me more meat, then they bring you more meat. So it's a really wonderful concept. And I think it's, 300-400 dirhams, and then you eat as much meat as you can. Now, why are these guys doing so well on a platform like ours? 2 reasons. And you'll see in red, I don't know if everyone can see in red, 5 out of the 10 restaurants that get the most online reservations offer a promotion. It doesn't necessarily have to be a discount, but it's some kind of reward for making that booking online. I would say Fogueira is one of the best examples of a restaurant that does that, because they consistently offer the same promotion, which is if you do your booking online, you get a discount of, I can't remember exactly how much it is, but I think 20%. It's not a game changer, but it's a reward. And it's a reason to immediately do that action now as a diner. So you've got me, you haven't lost me to that search. If you remember, people spend 45% of the time is spent searching through different restaurants. Give me a reason to stop searching and to book right now. So Foguera does that really well. We've got restaurants options by Sanjeev Kapoor, the Indian super chef. We've got Toshi, which is a Japanese restaurant, Bateau Dubai, which is a floating concept, Oceana. Now, I don't know if these are necessarily household names to everyone, but they are in the top 10 of restaurants that are driving the bookings. Now, look at the other restaurants in the top 10. These probably, with all due respect, but these will probably be slightly more household names. Restaurants like Atmosphere, Pier Chic, Armani, Pai Tai, which is a Jumeirah concept, Mango Tree, which is in Souk al-Bahar. So, the learning that we get over here is that people basically reserve online for one of two reasons. One of them is that the restaurant is either, what's the word, aspirational? It's an aspirational restaurant like Atmosphere, where people have told me about it, or I'm traveling to Dubai and I want to experience it, and it's a lifestyle decision, and I want to go for that experience. And I'll do that online reservation to guarantee my booking, because I know without a booking I'm taking a risk. So that either you're doing that, or if you're not necessarily in that category of the super elite restaurants, but you offer a wonderful fine dining experience, you can still drive those by doing things like rewarding that experience for your diners. So this is an interesting list. Now the next list is the restaurants that are most called. Now, this is very different. So the restaurants that have the most online reservations are obviously names that, they all are places where, it's a reservation. You're going to sit down and dine. The next list, we looked at all restaurants that are being called, and the 7 out of the first 10 are places that are not primarily, or maybe not necessarily, focused on bringing the diner in. They are focused on delivery. So we've got, Zata Zaid, Al Kufa, Beit Al Mandi. I don't know if everyone can read these, Aris Damascus, etc. McDonald's is in there, Abdul Wahab. So these are the restaurants that are getting, and we're looking at, for the UAE, I think last month alone we did 200,000 phone calls to these group of restaurants. It's a huge number of people calling these restaurants. Another very interesting observation about them, again, I think this is interesting, I hope everyone does as well, but another interesting observation is that from those 7 delivery restaurants, 6 of them are Arabic themed. So these are places that are doing falafel sandwiches, manaish, they're doing grills, they're doing these kind of things and they're delivering them. So the demand is really, really, really high for the Arabic cuisine. Now, obviously there are a lot of restaurants that offer it as well, so that couples it. But if the demand wasn't there, it's irrelevant how many restaurants are there, because no one's going to be calling them, right? So one of the major observations here is, if tomorrow I was going to open a delivery-focused outlet, I would definitely consider doing Arabic theme, because clearly there's a massive demand for it. McDonald's is McDonald's. It's always going to be on any list, I imagine. Then the 3, so actually position 8, 9, and 10, Foguera, Atmosphere, and Mango Tree. These ones are actually places that are, people are calling with regards to reservations. So these are not necessarily delivery-driven. This is an interesting slide, kind of backing what I was saying 2 slides ago. So we look at the reservations that we get online. 63% of the reservations that we get online, this is not telephone calls, this is online bookings. So 63% of them are driven by restaurants that offer some kind of reward, some kind of promotion to the diner for making that online booking. So again, this concept of rewarding the diner, some restaurants do it with a loyalty scheme, some restaurants do it with a flat discount. The entertainer is very popular here, they do 2 for 1. But this concept of rewarding is very, very important in the dining. From our results that we see, is very important in day-to-day dining. This was interesting to us as well, actually, because this is higher than it was last year. We did the same exercise last year, and it's the average spend has gone up by about 70 or 80 dirhams, 76 dirhams, I think, to be exact, over a 12-month period. So we the average group size that we take reservations for is 3.4 people. The average price of the type of restaurants that we're sending people to, this is gross of discounts, by the way. This is menu price, is 175 per person. So the per reservation revenue, I guess, that the restaurants are making through portals like ourselves is about 600 dirhams, just under 600 dirhams per booking that comes in. So there you can start seeing the kind of value this online audience or this discovery audience is driving. Now, just the final bit of I guess, some of the data that I'm going to share with you guys is some data on delivery. Because obviously, I think, one of the speakers, I can't remember which one, I'm sorry, mentioned earlier today that, companies like Uber, Deliveroo, etc., they're the next, I think it was Charles, yeah. So, they're going to be the next big thing over the next 12 months. And, we would completely back that. So we're in that space as well, but we also work with other people in that space. And, we see a lot of data suggesting that, in the next 12 months, we might triple the number of online orders. So in terms of most popular cuisines that people are interested in for delivery, burger, yet again, is number one. So obviously people just want burgers here, but burger is number one. Chicken, interestingly, comes between burger and pizza when it comes for delivery. So people are looking for chicken options. I don't know whether that's necessarily fried chicken or rotisserie chicken or whatever it is, but it's very high on that list. We've got in that list, we've got sandwiches and wraps. Italian, Arabic, again, is as a category, it's very high over there. Those individual restaurants we picked out were the leading restaurants. But obviously there's a lot more burger places, so it'll appear higher on a list like this. Top delivery locations. Now this is slightly different to the locations that I was showing you before. This is basically, I live in Sheikh Zayed Road and I'm getting delivered to. So the top delivery location, I live in or work in. The top delivery location in Dubai, actually, all these are Dubai figures, even though Abu Dhabi was in these, but Dubai drives all this activity. Is Sheikh Zayed Road. So if you're a restaurant that delivers to Sheikh Zayed Road and you serve either a burger, a pizza, or Arabic food, you're in a pretty good space, I would say. The IFC is again very high. So the interesting thing here in terms of delivery locations that I saw a correlation here, the first 5 results, which are the results on the left, are all what you might interpret as non-residential, office place, workplaces, places where people would be, in their work environment, and those are driven there. The next 5 places, so 6 to 10 on the list, are mostly residential. So if you look over there, the Greens, Emirates Hills, Jumeirah, Springs Meadows, these are very residential places. So that's a very interesting thing over there, that we're saying that actually probably people at work or in their work environment are driving, equal, if not more, footfall for delivery than people at home. So, getting those timings and the operations of the delivery business is very important. Okay, this is quite interesting. So we have about 1,000 restaurants on Ram Menu. I need 2 minutes. We have about 1,000 restaurants on Ram Menu that offer both online ordering and phone call ordering, right? So you can do either. Both options are there at a click of a button. So obviously, phone calls are higher because this is just natural human behavior at this point in time. Who knows what it'll be in 2 years' time. But it's only 68%. So 32% of people, when they're given the option to not have to speak to someone and to just press a button, pick their menu items, put their address, and press enter, they'll choose to do that. And that number is rising. That number, when we first started a little under a year ago, was about 5 or 6%. So that number is driving very fast, and we anticipate that to be 50-50 by the end of the year. So that's interesting to us. And finally, okay, this one I'll ask. Anyone want to guess what the average order value is for delivery restaurants in the UAE? 55 dirhams? Bit higher? Yeah. Did someone say 90? Yeah. So it's 80, oops, sorry, I'll come back to that. It's 84 dirhams. This is the average delivery order size. So I thought that might be quite interesting for you guys. And just finally, the orders by time of day, it very much matches the discovery. So people are in discovery mode, but when they find the restaurant they're looking for, the transaction does happen. So, be ready for it if you're in that space. So the conclusion that I would say, we found from this in terms of discovery, guidance is a top priority. So diners need guidance, whether it's Michelin or ourselves or TripAdvisor, whoever it is, they need that guidance, and food photography is essential in that guidance. For dining out, promotions do drive instant results, instant action. And for delivery, online orders are becoming a significant proportion of total orders over there. I hope that was useful to everyone. If I have time for Q&A, I think I used my Q&A time, didn't I? Did I? Okay. I guess I'll be over there if anyone wants to ask any questions. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. I think that was really interesting. And
Thank
once
you.
again, we will be emailing around your presentation.
Yeah, this is anyone who wants it, obviously.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, I missed out a huge thank you in my opening, which was bound to happen. I was going to forget something. But of course, thank you so much to all of our sponsors. So I would encourage you all during the coffee break, you're now allowed out for coffee and refreshments. Please go and chat to our sponsors. They all have stands there, and they're all doing really interesting and innovative things within the industry. Now, if I could please have you back in the conference room in about 20 minutes. So thank you very much.